What is going on, everybody? Good morning. Happy Monday. What a joy I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I really do. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. If you're not following Alan AU on Twitter, now's the time to do that. Alan AU 11 on Twitter. Let me go ahead and throw that into the chat over here. Anyone missing that? Alan bringing the clarity once again. We have Bitcoin at $56,300. This is going to be a beautiful episode. Make sure that we discuss the important things, what's going on over here at this portion of the Bitcoin's bull market phase. Make sure we continue to stay on the right side of the market. Lots of quote unquote intellectuals debating the markets once again. If they're not on the right side of the market, if they're not on the right side of the trade, in my opinion, they're completely irrelevant. Keep that in mind. Some people are wondering, Jordan, what's going on? The risk is to the upside, and all of a sudden we're trading at $56,300. Bitcoin is trading at $56,300. The risk is to the upside. This is looking quite bullish. Not only is it looking quite bullish, we are definitely under these uber easy monetary conditions, outperforming and expected to outperform the last cycle. Will we have points challenged to the degree of the first cycle? Stay tuned and find out. Let's take a look at what's going on. Before we do, we have to start with what's most important this week. Most important this week is on Wednesday. We have the FOMC statement and then press conference at 2:30 a.m. Eastern time. This is what's going to move markets. Generally speaking, on a week like this, coming into the FOMC, it's pretty quiet. Now, there'd be some volatility, of course, as always, on the Asian Open through London and into Monday. But by this time tomorrow, or I should say by this time Wednesday morning, things are pretty flat, waiting to see what Jerome says. It's Jerome's biggest moment since he's been the head of the Federal Reserve. Whether or not he drops the ball, we've been talking about on this channel, bringing you the most relevant macro information possible, the SLR, what's going to happen. Let's see. We'll see. I'll lead up into it maybe on Tuesday or a Wednesday, either which way. That is where I'm focused over here. Federal Reserve is expected to stick to its easing plans. Do you think the Fed is going to start tightening? Despite all of the significant, more upbeat outlook of the economy, inflation's running hot, blah, blah, blah. However, the risks towards a hawkish surprise out of the Fed? No, I don't think so. We have a lot to talk about in this episode. We're going to let it flow right now. I just want to make sure everyone is lasered in. Laser Eyes is not about $100,000. Laser Eyes is making sure that we ride the bull of all bulls to completion. It's not going to complete, Jordan. It's not going to complete. All models are broken. They're all destroyed. They're all irrelevant. You haven't listened to Michael? Michael, the Chad. What's going on? MicroStrategy conference, huge. Caused Tesla to go ahead. Michael caused Elon. By the way, let's start off with a little bit of fun over here. Did you see this? Did you see Elon has changed his name on a SEC filing to the Master of Coin? Yeah, he's still the chief executive officer. He's still the chief financial officer, right? I'm sorry, Zach. Elon is still the CFO, but he's also now the Master of Coin. What does that mean? And if he's going to be the Master of Coin, don't you think that he needs to step up his game and overtake MicroStrategy? Because he's lagging behind. MicroStrategy has a big lead over Tesla, coming in strong. Elon having fun with the SEC. What's going on here? We're going to talk about this last. It's probably the least important. We're going to talk about not only the infrastructure initiative, but the tax increase to cover that, what that means for the markets. I'll give you a hint. Net, it's going to weigh themselves out. The boom of the infrastructure package is going to be kind of probably weighed out by the coming increased corporate tax. And those making over $400,000, those are just ideas floated. We don't know what it is. Alan kicked this off over here. When did Alan post this, by the way? This was posted this morning, right? He's talking about what we're seeing today as Bitcoin corrects 12% from the all-time high. We're seeing a few things, lots of FUD floating around over there. We had an overheated futures market, 100%. Everyone long Bitcoin, rightfully so, but we lost a lot. $1 billion worth of longs were liquidated within 1 hour. What are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Listen, if you haven't watched our video, in the training section, how to trade Bitcoin lightly leverage. You have to start there. I mean, it's for experts only. How do you get liquidated on a 12% drop from all-time highs? The filling of the CME gap, Alan has a nice chart down over here. We've had some gaps partially filled. In my opinion, they're not filled. Whether or not you call them partially, whatever, right? And then this big unfilled one down at 11,425. We will have many more CME gaps that go unfilled, right? But always, anytime we have a CME gap, people are wondering if Chicago's going to bring it down. The Gemini FUD, what's that? What is the Gemini FUD? What's going on over here? We saw a bunch of people talking about a large deposit, $1 billion worth of Bitcoin going into Gemini. People got scared. That's what caused the price to fall down over here. At the end of the day, Glassnode is like, listen, that's not what happened. Those were internal wallets. It was funds being moved inside. You got to watch out for the FUD. You have to watch out for the FUD. That's why we're always talking about what the biggest risks to Bitcoin are. India, once again, for the umpteenth millionth time, banning crypto, whatever. What are they so scared of? And yes, the U.S. Tax hike. Again, we'll talk about it at the end. It's not that really that important over here. They still need to talk about and figure out what they're going to work towards and what it's going to look like. We simply don't know. There's no need for us to go ahead and speculate on an unknown either which way. The printer is going to be running. That's the signal we've focused in on. Going back now, it's March. Going back 11 months from now, I said the most important thing for us to focus on going forward is signal. That signal is the continued increase of the Fed's balance sheet. And it's also the stimulus that's going to be coming out of the government. We just passed $900 billion, now another $1.9 trillion. And now they're talking about another $2 to $4 trillion for infrastructure and climate change and whatever. The printer goes burr. And this is a super easy cycle we got over here. Let's get into the good stuff over here. Let's get it. Whoa, Jordan, I know you focus on Bitcoin because you're highly leveraged in there, but what about the currency markets? Baked, Benji, what's going on? I'm glad you're here this morning over here. Listen, we are starting now, still 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, the same time we always start Monday through Friday. We had a time change. There was a time change in the U.S., and that is kind of a lot of people in Europe are like expecting the show to start an hour later. Here we are now, right? Highly leveraged in there. And no, I'm not highly leveraged into Bitcoin whatsoever. I am lightly leveraged into Bitcoin. You don't need any leverage whatsoever to take advantage of Bitcoin and its price appreciation during the bull market phase at all. Now, I am lightly leveraged because that is my opinion looking around the markets. Looking around all of the markets, whether you're talking about equities, whether you're talking about futures, precious metals, commodities, the FX markets, and understood that the most important trade that matters is Bitcoin. That's where I am focused for a good reason. The FX markets, I would have to say that this year, 2021, we've stayed focused. US dollar, Japanese yen trade aside, missed this one, set it up over here, but missed the execution. Pound Japanese yen, pound US dollar, riding all of these, riding them well. DXY continues to be some of this channel's best work over here. Yeah, I think we're crushing it because the FX markets are crucial. If you don't understand how to trade the FX markets, you're never going to make it in crypto. You're never going to make it anywhere in the equity markets and stocks and the public markets. It doesn't matter. It's all about FX. And if you want to know what's going on with FX, Big Benji, that's what the course is for. In the description below, you'll find out the Conquering the Market training program. Knowledge there, including the most recently updated video, not the how to thrive in conquering the markets, those just getting started, but Forex Masterclass, advanced intermediate. Anyway, I don't know why we got into FX over there. We'll come back to it in order of importance over here. Bitcoin trading at $56,500. People are like, oh, wait, we all know by now, all those following Conquering the Markets, we all know that always expect a 30% drawdown at any time. By the way, 30% drawdown, a little farther than that, takes us into what? Takes us into that last area we were looking at below. Wait, I digress. Hold on one second. Rewind that. I don't even want to talk about what I was just saying over there. I thought that this line of broken resistance now support was this one over here. Rewind into that line, which we set up on Friday and said that would all be a possibility. A 16% drawdown into 51,000, call it 500. super healthy if that were to occur. The same thing I said on Friday when we were all together before this weekend fun nonsense is occurring, right? So regardless of whatever the narrative it is, price action alone, if we had that breakout as we had and then came back into this, that still looks like a healthy market to me. Actually, a super healthy market to me, no problem. What happens if we break down below there and then lose this? I said we could still hold this trend line break. And if we come back and we pull back 30%, by the way, a 30% drawdown all the way into our most recent trend line break over there, that's the break of the bull flag. That's still healthy if it happens. I don't think that's going to happen, and that would be a triple pullback. I don't think that's what's going to happen over here at this particular time. Nevertheless, before the FUD arrives, we're already prepared for that. Are we going to see a major drawdown, and that could be towards the 3,800 level? What would that be? Just so everyone has their bearings over here as I continue. Having trouble getting that on my pointer over there. Uh-oh. Jordan is out of the flow. Don't worry, he's going to bring the fire. I'm sure. Are we going to have a 40% drawdown into the 38? I don't think so. I don't think so. We're looking good over here. We're looking fantastic over here. Bitcoin just broke to new all-time highs just a couple of sessions ago. 61,500 or thereabouts. Now off a little bit. People want to buy as price is rising and FOMO after. But when you get this super bullish price action, people not looking to take advantage of dips. Nope. That's not what I saw happening on Twitter this morning when I greeted you all. Good morning. Great morning to everyone. And people are like, Jordan, I'm buying the dip. I'm buying the dip. I'm buying the dip. I'm buying the dip. Conquering the markets all day long. All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. You ready? Let's get into it. Markets are manipulated. All right, by the way, markets 101. And the equity markets are the most manipulated of them all. The equity, I mean, do we have to tell anyone in 2021 game stonks that the markets are manipulated and rigged and they're not rigged in your favor? You have to learn how to maneuver within the manipulation. The game is rigged. You know the game's rigged going into it. You do understand the casino is rigged, right? Oh, okay. Let's go. Boom. That's right. Great mods. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, beautiful. Some people were, I guess, ignored as a child. Anyone that's comparing Bitcoin to, anyway, that's fun. Value 760 in the house, representing, dropping the knowledge, dropping the strong knowledge to us all. He's on fire. Bitcoin is tulips. Anyway, let's go. Let's take a look at what Michael's saying over here this morning. We're going to not only talk about what Michael said, we're going to be taking a look at Raul, what Raul has to say about this. We're going to break it all down. This is going to be really fun and interesting. If you got your coffee, take a sip, pull back. Before you do, smash that like button over here. Let's get going over here as we're off to our Monday session. Boom. Do I teach Elliott waves? No. By the way, just let me focus in on here really quick. Trader XS. Trader XS. What I teach, first of all, and this is coming off of, we have over here about 14 months, 15 months of history. All the videos uploaded on YouTube. There's no one across the whole internet that has been more correct across all markets since we've been on YouTube. That's a fact. There's not even close. Not even close. I trade the markets using price and price alone, right? Off the market structure of support and resistance with the help of trend lines and chart patterns. That's how I do it. This is how we're able to stay on the right side of the markets at all times. Elliott waves, fib levels, hookah baka, all that kind of stuff. Great, right? But it's a distraction. It's a distraction. Jordan, the RSI over 95. All right, let's keep going over here. I want to get into it. I want to have some fun with you and get into some intellectual conversations about the most important trade that matters. Let's take a look at what Michael says. This is, by the way, this channel over here, BitBoy Crypto. It was the first time I came across it. He has 650,000 subscribers. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. He asked a great leading question to Michael over here. He's like, listen, what is MicroStrategy? What is your view at the upcoming bear market? Are you going to just hold through 85% drawdown or what? It is a short clip over here, right? And I just, 2-minute clip. Let's focus in on it and let's get going from there.
There's a narrative out there that all of the big corporations and all the institutions, the big investment funds, they're buying Bitcoin right now and they are not going to sell it. And that's going to make us not go into the same kind of bear market that we've seen in the past. Is that your strategy? Is no matter what, like even just taking into consideration, there is going to be a bear market and you guys are just going to hodl through it and not care if the price goes down, 85% again. What is your take on that? And how are you guys handling,
so Ben, just a basic set of principles. First of all, Bitcoin is the apex property of the human race. There is no property invented in the history of mankind that is better than Bitcoin. That means there's no reason you can't hold it for 100 years. So we've got this issue of, is it long duration? Yes. Is it high quality? Yes. When should you ever sell an asset? The theoretic, and this is why people like the models are all just misleading people to make awful dilutive decisions, destroying.
Oh, there we go. Hold on one second. When he says right over there that the models are leading people to make all sorts of diluted decisions, at this point, he's talking about traditional finance. He's not talking about the Bitcoin models. He's not talking about the 4-year cycle or the halving event. He's going to talk about that in just a minute, so pay attention.
Make awful dilutive decisions, destroying their wealth. The only time you should sell an asset is when you have knowledge it's going to be impaired. Well, this is not.
So, by the way, the only time you should sell an asset is when you have knowledge it's going to be impaired. In Conquering the Markets, in Jordan's mind, an 85% drawdown is being impaired. But we'll get to that in a second.
Going to be impaired. This is property in cyberspace, right? And there's nothing better to buy. There's nothing better to buy, right? I mean, I'll say it a third time. There's nothing better to buy. So if you're buying something which is potentially going to last hundreds of years, and there's nothing better on earth to buy, why would you ever sell it? Yeah. So that's the first point. So it doesn't really make sense to trade out of that ever. Let me make one more point. All those models, they're irrelevant. As I say, they're irrelevant. All like the 4-year halving, irrelevant. All your back-tested models for the past decade, irrelevant. They're all based on history. Okay, they could only be relevant if there were no external act.
All right, before he gets to his conclusion over here, Michael is saying that the 4-year cycle, the 4-year model, the halving event is all irrelevant. It's all irrelevant because at this point, MicroStrategy has entered the game. When I say MicroStrategy, I'm talking about corporations, not just MicroStrategy. There's a bunch of them. There's about to be a bunch more. And he calls this like Godzilla entering the space. So at this point, all models are broken. The reason I'm having this conversation over here is because my work is set off on Bitcoin on the 4-year cycle, and it's 3 phases in each cycle. The bull phase, ignited by the halving event, sets off bull market phase, ending in a parabolic blow-off euphoric top, which starts the bear market. The second phase, ending in capitulation, followed by the accumulating phase, and 15 months to the next halving. This is what's happening over here. Michael's saying that's completely irrelevant. So we're gonna have the conversation. It's really important over here, and we're gonna show why Michael is wrong. And by the way, it's not the first time Michael has been wrong. Coming over into $40,000 as Bitcoin pulled back over here 30%, Michael said, see, this is proof that this is like a super cycle because Bitcoin didn't come off 85% over here. That showed a severe lack of understanding of the 4-year cycle in itself. I called him out on it as it happened, but I was very gentle as he's the Chad of all Chads. And no big deal. Listen, it's not his forte. His forte is going out there, being the ambassador of Bitcoin to corporations, and just being as cyber hornet bullish as possible. But if you start believing your own bullishness, you're setting yourself up for failure. Let's get into it and let's talk about it. Let me finish here with his point that now Godzilla has entered.
Or external energy sources. When Godzilla comes to the playground, your models of who's going to win the pinball tournament are irrelevant.
Okay.
There's a narrative.
So good little clip over here. Michael getting the chance to express his point. These guys over here get into it a little bit better. This is the What Bitcoin Did podcast with Raul Pal. And coming off and starting, I forget the name, but the host over here is making the point that, listen, I've been buying Bitcoin, right? I store it like with BlockFi. I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin, right? And if I'm not going to sell my Bitcoin, is everyone else not going to sell their Bitcoin? By the way, we'll lead into that in a second. Let's keep going over here. This is fun stuff. This is important stuff. Let's go.
Next 2-3 years, if I need capital, I'm not going to sell the Bitcoin. I'm going to borrow against that Bitcoin because I don't want to sell it. And it gets this interesting position that as people start to hold the Bitcoin, they start to realize, like, I don't want to let go of this. I can leverage this to borrow. And that's a much better position to be in.
Yeah, but again, if you're an institution and Bitcoin goes up, so let's say it's a 5% weight in your portfolio.
But hold on, let me just hold on one second. As he's saying that, listen, I have, in my corporation, I've taken my reserve cash and I've bought Bitcoin with it, and I'm up I've doubled my money. There's no way I'm going to sell that Bitcoin. If I need cash, I'm just going to borrow against it. Right. So, by the way, pay attention to this week's training session is going to be absolute fire. This is going to be this week's Conquering the Markets training session. It's coming off this question by Steve. It would be great if you did a video or discuss strategies to pay off a crypto loan at the right time. Obviously not financial advice, to maximize the loan, but to also avoid any liquidation. As we're seeing over here, does anyone know his name? What Bitcoin did? The host over here, and he's saying, listen, I've doubled my holdings by doing that. I mean, with my corporation, as you all have known, I've done the same thing over the last 12 months, except I've done it significantly better. I've able to have an 18x on that, not just doubling my money, an 18x. I would gather to say that the degree of financial engineering going on there is someone that you would call beginner, right? The host of What Bitcoin Think, whatever it is, or someone able, Peter McCormick, or someone's able to have, thank you for that, Peter McCormick, or someone who is, at the same time frame was able to have an 18x. We'll talk about that in the training session of how I did that. Who do you want to listen to when it comes to what they're looking at as far as, I want to get it right, when are you going to pay off that loan? How do you maximize the loan, avoiding any liquidation, and all this and that, as well as, just let me be clear, right? In that little play over there, little, right? Quote unquote little play over there, right? I'm not selling that Bitcoin. I'll talk about that specifically and in detail in this week's training session. Let's listen to Raul's answer over here. Very important.
Let's say it's a 5% weight in your portfolio. Let's say Bitcoin triples. It's now 15% weight in your portfolio. You're now overweighted. What you are actually going to do is sell your Bitcoin.
I see. Okay, again, I see.
Very different to you.
So, and we're going to keep going here. This is good stuff here. This is the conversations I want to have. Raul is saying, listen, you're not thinking it through. For you, and whatever, you don't have to sell your Bitcoin. The institutions are here. We're not talking about Tesla. We're not talking about MicroStrategy. We're talking about like funds and institutions are here, and they have to continue rebalancing their portfolio. If they take a 15% of their portfolio position in Bitcoin, and that thing goes up 50% or 100% or more in a quarter, they have to take profits. What's that going to do to the price of Bitcoin? I've said before to you, is that what's going to be the trigger to the peak of the bull market when X fund winds up selling or taking profit or rebalancing, and that sets off a cascade? Listen to Raul here. Raul gets it right. Pay attention.
By holding it versus asset allocation, and that's going to bring volatility down. Because as you rightly say right now, there are no sellers. So anybody comes into the market, the price gaps up, then there's a bit of retail leverage that gets stopped out in small sell-offs, but it's quite illiquid at the marginal price. But what's going to happen is these institutions are going to be buying and selling on a monthly and quarterly basis. They'll be buying into dips, they'll be selling into rallies to keep their allocation in line. And what's going to happen is Bitcoin's going to go from this 70 vol beast to 60 volt, to 50 volt, to 40 volt.
Oh, hold on one second.
But it puts me into position.
Right back up.
What's going to happen is these institutions are going to be buying and selling on a monthly and quarterly basis. They'll be buying into dips, they'll be selling into rallies to keep their allocation in line. And what's going to happen is Bitcoin's going to go from this 70 volt beast to 60 volt, to 50 volt, to 40 volt. And If you get to a world where Bitcoin is the reserve asset, then it's going to be up fivefold.
Yeah, that's so.
So yeah, like diminishing returns, right? And Raul's right. Raul's right. We are going to see diminishing returns, but we're not going to see diminishing turn. Are we going to see diminishing returns this cycle? As Bitcoin is a $5 trillion asset, a $6 trillion asset, or will we see diminishing returns if the day Bitcoin becomes a 20, 30, or 50 or more trillion dollar asset? I'm in the later. I've been very clear that not until Bitcoin overtakes the market cap of gold next cycle could we even have the conversation about it gaining more market share in the global reserve. Now, Michael Saylor seems to be like really playing this forward a little bit too quick, right? Michael's thinking that Bitcoin is already a 20 or 30 trillion dollar asset, or maybe he thinks it's going to become that without this bear market that's coming over here. What he doesn't understand, and it's not his fault, it's not what he does, what he doesn't understand is markets and market cycle behavior, because that's what Bitcoin is. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to keep going over here. Raul is right. The volatility will diminish once Bitcoin takes its place on the world stage in the financial markets in that 100 or $2 trillion, whatever you want to call it. But right now we're not even close. Bitcoin is $1 trillion market. Let's keep going over here. Sure. Right. Of course, as Bitcoin
volatility, in some ways, obviously, I think it's a good thing. But that's quite an interesting thing because I don't think a lot of people have thought about it like that. Do you think that might shift the pattern of the 4-year halving cycle where we have these 80% drawdowns? Do you think we could get away from that because of them?
Well, this is cool. This is an interesting conversation to have, right? Something that we talk about, often, time and time again, the bear market, what it's going to look at, why we think the 4-year cycle there's nothing to say that model's breaking at this particular time. We've looked at the idea of a super cycle. Within this one cycle, we looked at the idea of perhaps a double wave, which forms much like the first cycle. While all of those things are possibilities, what looks like it is happening is that this 4-year cycle is resembling every other 4-year cycle. I'm expecting an 85% drawdown. Either which way, I know when the low of that cycle will be 15 months to the next halving. And that's the key right there. Did you hear what I said? It doesn't matter whether or not that we actually have the top, and we will. We're going to have the top right here. I'm going to explain to you in a minute exactly why. You're going to see it in much more further detail and clarity in this week's training session over here. But regardless, I know when the bear market low and the bear market's coming, I know when that's going to be. If you say you listen to someone like Michael Saylor, the guy who just got into Bitcoin, right, recently, several months ago, the guy who just got into Bitcoin, get on you, anyone that's able to change their view and understand what is important and get on the right side, that's fantastic. That's applaudable. You have to be able to admit what you're wrong and get right. But the guy, he doesn't understand markets. He's a brilliant financial engineer off of the existing fiat system. Michael knows that he could take money for free and buy Bitcoin. It's legendary. But a lot of people, and this is what's going to happen in this bull market. A lot of people are going to listen to people like that. They're going to get caught holding at the peak over here. It's going to get volatile. Price is going to come off 50% really quick, and people are going to be like deer in headlights, and then they're going to be stuck. Raul's going to talk about in a second what's going to happen as soon as that happens, right? He's going to talk about how that's going to bring on a cascade of selling because you, for whatever purposes or whatever things that you want to accomplish this bull market cycle, you're going to have to do it. Time's running out. Watch what Raul says. Raul's right on point over here, right on signal.
Yes, but not this cycle. And the reason being is you keep posting pictures of Lambos and
yes.
I start thinking about something, work I want to do in my house, whatever it is, right? We want to cash our crypto tokens in for lifestyle tokens. So we're all value investors now. And when the value is so out of whack that you think I could sell some of that and buy a new house, and the value to you is so extreme that even though there's more upside there, the value, it's become so cheap in Bitcoin terms. So you sell your Bitcoin. Now, what usually happens is if we look at the last cycle, it went from like 200 up to 20,000. So I don't know what the average weighted entry price for most people was, but it was.
Hold on 1 second. I got to pause. I got to pause and address all of you community. You guys, first of all, signal over noise. You guys are missing some of the most important stuff ever shared on this channel on the most important conversation that we could be having right now. Whether or not we're going to have a 4-year cycle, whether or not we're going to have the 3 phases of the 4-year cycle, the bull market phase, followed by the bear market and then the accumulation phase, or whether or not this time is different and we're seeing Bitcoin all of a sudden explode and become like an enormous player on the world stage. Listen, if you're focused on BitBoy, who's asking a very good question over here and asked a very good question over there, if you're focused on Raul pumping XRP, or if you believe Michael Saylor was back in Bitcoin in 2017, you're getting it wrong. This is not the type of quality that we have in the community over here. Listening to these comments over here, listen, I don't have time for games like that. If you're looking for attention, if you don't understand what's going on, boom, gone. I could care less, because what's important to me are those here investing their time, looking to change their own situation, the situation of their children, families, and all those around them. That's what's important to me, right? So first and only warning to those that are like, as this don't, listen to me. Consult what I say, because I've been extraordinarily right for a long time. If you want to know what's up, dial in, stop talking. There's people, I see out this morning, Santiago Capital on Twitter calling out Lynn Alden. Lynn's been on the right side of the markets ever since I've known you, Santi. Brent Johnson, and you've been on the wrong side. Stop talking. Listen to what she has to say. That's the problem, that people just want to have an opinion, right? People just want to have an opinion, and they don't even, and that's it, right? So here we are. All right, I'm jumping back in over here. I'm shutting off the comments so I could focus in on presenting what I discern to be one of the most important conversations we're ever having over here. I'm going to finish and follow through strong with you.
Was somewhere 2/3 of the way up that rally. So, what happens eventually, people start going, I want to buy a car, or I want to go on holiday, whatever it is, right? So you start selling some, and it feeds on itself, because you're like, oh shit, I need to get my car. I don't want this to go down any further because I planned for that. We all have hopes and dreams. So it's actually a human behavioral cycle based on where we perceive there to be value.
Yeah. Did you hear what he just said? Raul nails it. And you all know my feel. Raul nails it right over here. He said it's a human behavioral cycle. And that's exactly what it is. You're all familiar over here with the Bitcoin cheat sheet. And if you're not, what are you doing over here? And this is why I'm pretty consistent with it, where the bull market phase is going to end in a parabolic move with a blow off top. And that's where I'm exiting. I am exiting the top of the bull market phase, and I'm going to get the top. Now, whether or not you believe like Michael, Chad, Bullish, Saylor, that like all models are destroyed and Godzilla's coming, nonsense, right? Or you want to find out what's up over here, right? I'm exiting over there, setting off the bear market phase. It always has that big, massive, quick drawdown, followed by that little bit of hope spike, and then the prolonged bear market, ending in capitulation, and then starting the accumulation, say on Bitcoin, that's 15 months to the next halving. And then we do it all over again. If you're familiar with this, then you understand without me telling you, that's the same exact cycle as this. The Bitcoin bull market, which ends in a parabolic rise and a blow off top, setting off that massive sudden drawdown, then that little bit of a hope, and then the prolonged bear market, ending in capitulation, and then the accumulation starts. On Bitcoin, it's 15 months to the next halving, and it's because of the halving event, which sends a supply shock. Now, Michael is saying, well, listen, we now have miners in the US, public companies, and whether they know it or not, and they don't know it, Michael, that if they don't sell Bitcoin and just raise money in the public markets, they don't ever have to sell Bitcoin again. And all of a sudden, we're not having this market supply shock. Michael is 2 or 3 cycles in the future, and he has no idea about it. He's just way too far in the future. Maybe he's too smart for his own good, and maybe he thinks that everyone is thinking or playing the game according to the way he is, but they're not. He is the most advanced financial engineer in Bitcoin out of the suits. There's no question about it. He does not, Raul does understand markets. Raul understands market psychology. Raul understands at this market peak over here, a lot of people are not going to sell. Why? Because Michael said that we're not going to have a 4-year cycle. Godzilla's coming. And then as price starts coming down, oh yeah, they're going to sell because they wanted that car. They wanted that Lambo. They wanted whatever they want. And Lambo just symbolizes whatever hopes you have for turning your investment into some lifestyle token, as he puts it. And that's going to cascade and you're going to see more selling. And then guess what? Those funds, they can't hodl. They need to sell. And it's going to go boom, 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 boom. That's what we're looking at. That's what's happening over here. I want to make sure everyone stays on the right side over here. By the way, Jordan, if we do break to the upside in a relatively short amount of time, I think we will have a pi cycle cross. I know, this is the key word here. I know you're against having 2 tops this cycle, but I think it's a possibility. There's no one who said it first. There's no one who said it first. This was on January the 7th, I put out this video, double wave cycle, and talked about the possibility of a double wave occurring. What is a double wave? By the way, if you want to know where I'm getting this chart over here, it's at the halving tracker on Twitter over there. And you can see that I pointed out the possibility of us having a double wave. It's still open. It's just not likely. It's still a possibility. I said if we're coming into $100,000 hot over the next few weeks, okay, then it looks like that we are having that, right? I was the first. If it happens, do you not see that I am hyper-focused in to every single angle of this trade each and every day, continuing to focus on, yeah, there's confidence there, and that confidence, if you haven't seen on the YouTube channel, the featured video, Bitcoin Masterfully Lightly Leveraged. Now, that doesn't teach you how to trade it lightly leveraged. That just shows you over the past year, every single instant that we called out what was going to happen on Bitcoin being the most correct on that right side of the market over there. So where does that bring us now back into real time? Let me take a breath. Let me pull back up the comments, see what we're talking about over here together. And nothing too much to say. All right. We'll see. That's the thing. We're going to see who gets it right. I know who's going to. You got to listen to those who have a history of being right. You got to applaud Michael, who thought Bitcoin was a scam, for doing his research, understanding the markets as he does, and getting on the right side of the trade. Not only that, you got to appreciate all the work he does. He put together the MicroStrategy Corporate Conference. Fire, absolute fire. Amazing ambassador for the space right now. What I'm worried about, as he's not a trader, as he's not an investor, as he doesn't understand markets and market psychology, do you not see that this is the same exact thing as this? If you can't see that, you're not seeing the matrix. You're well out of the game. It's going to repeat itself. I've pointed out in one of our training sessions exactly when that parabolic, almost right within what? Probably 10 to 15 days. I've told you when that parabolic move is going to start. The parabolic move is going to lead to hyper euphoric speculation and a blow off top. It's how all markets end like this. And then we're going to be exiting. We're going to be exiting. And if you think BitBoy or whatever, or you're like trolling BitBoy because he asked a good question, you're getting it wrong. But you're here. And my desire is to help you see it, to help you get it right, to help you understand, to help you maybe listen a lot more, right? And take what's in, what's going on. Anyway, glad to have you over here, brother. Glad to have you over here. We got a bunch of people now joining us from Europe. Sorry about the time change. Over in the US, they changed their clocks back or forward, I don't know, an hour. We're still going live each and every morning at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. Glad to see you now. It's so important. It's so important. The ones that could see it will get it and understand. We're trading right now at Bitcoin, $56,800. What's going on with the markets? Equity markets are unchanged. Super bullish. S&P right off the all-time high, coming out of this bull flag, right? Equities bullish. Could Jerome derail that? Yes. Jerome is a market risk this week. It's the biggest risk, right? But that looks entirely bullish market structure. The Nasdaq, by the way, if you remember on Friday's stream, as price was crashing into the broken trend line, I was like, well, that looks like a retest, right? And then you could see that price has come off since, made the higher high, breaking out over there. Beautiful opportunity here on the Nasdaq right now. Why? Because you know where you're wrong. Could these stops get taken out over here if you put a stop loss right under that broken resistance now as support? Yep, big deal. You're risking what? I don't know what you're risking. Are you risking 0.5%? Are you risking 1%? Right? By the way, that distance over here, just coming back into the new all-time high, called out on February 17th. Watch out, the markets might correct over here. They corrected. As they were correcting, I said, it's just a question in my mind of how long to the new all-time high, right? The printer goes burr, right? But ever since last April, it was, look, we know what's happening here. The Fed's expanding their balance sheet. Liquidity is off the roof, and that's going to continue. That's the signal that we're focused in on over here. But Jordan, rising yields, right? Yeah, that was right here before. Why are we not on market watch yet? I don't know. We'll get there, I'm sure. Either which way, equity market's looking good, but everyone's watching what the Fed's going to do. No question about that. The dollar this morning, look at this. This is pretty good technically. You can see the dollar coming back into this area of resistance. If it's rejected here, we're going to see some further downside within this range that continues on the dollar. If we break above 92.54, it won't happen before Jerome speaks on Wednesday. If that does happen, then we know we're looking for some further dollar strength. We got the laser eyes across all the markets. Jordan, focus on the technicals. What about FX? Right? Gold and silver. Silver's slightly bid over here into resistance this morning. Silver needs to cross above this resistance over here. And if it does, look, it'll probably move into this 2680 area because there's light local resistance right over there. Right? Nothing. It's the umpteenth time that India has banned crypto. What are they so scared of? What is that? Who cares? You can't ban it, right? Who cares? Is India, by the way, a player in the Bitcoin market? Right? How many wallets are from India holding like a sizable portion of Bitcoin? Think about it. Where is the most wealth concentrated in Bitcoin coming from? The United States. Right? If the United States were to ban Bitcoin, do you think that might affect the market? Yeah, I think that might affect the market. Do you think the US is looking to ban Bitcoin? Not even close. The US is hyper-focused on regulating Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is regulated within the US, right? Are there more and more laws being passed every day? Are we seeing US public companies taking positions in Bitcoin? Is it getting institutions? Is it getting harder and harder for a ban to happen on Bitcoin? Yeah. Would Bitcoin have to be maybe a $10 trillion market before the US would even consider it a threat and look to ban it? Yeah. Don't worry about it. It's just the FUD right now is just water rolling off a duck's back. And that's what it's continued to be over here. Not for a lot of people. If you're focused in on the FUD and it's shaking you out of your trade, you got weak hands. Follow Dave. What is it? Dave Portney or something like that, right? Here we are. Silver into resistance over here. If it breaks above, that opens up an opportunity to speculate because it's still quite bullish. Why gold is, we'll look at gold for a second, why gold has broken down over here, is coming into resistance also. It's a lot weaker than silver. But we've expected for a year now, ever since the Fed expanded their balance sheet by $4.1 trillion, for silver to outperform gold. That continues to hold, right? So, both of them kind of unattractive, under pressure. Silver coiled up. It could explode to the upside. I think the next swing opportunity is above that resistance over there. If you get above 2632, we probably move into 2680. If then you get the retest and then a resumption off, we'll talk about that as that unfolds this week. And that's what's going on in the markets today. Have we seen the company? Yeah, gold. I mean, long term, I'm still bullish on gold, but their momentum's not there. And I've been crystal clear about one of the easiest trades to make all year is by being short gold and long Bitcoin, right? And now you have this little pullback on gold. This is the time to reestablish a position over here. Gold, I love it. There's no question about it. You will see me at the cycle peak. You will see me taking a big position in physical gold over here, amongst other things. And you can't have one strategy. You have to, what I'm doing on my corporate balance sheet is much different when I'm doing in other markets. You have to have multiple strategies. We'll talk about that together when we do that in that intimate setting on the Conquering the Markets training session this week. Thank you, Gene, because I feel like today, Gene, and obviously all that's important to me is that you get that. I feel like today, one of the most important sessions out there, and people are so unfocused. I feel like there's a lot of chatter that's happening that shows the degree of people's, how do you say, weakness during this Bitcoin march of the bull of all bulls over here during its bull market phase. The same thing's going to be happening during the bear market. We're going to be ahead of the game. We are always ahead of the game. We're going to be out of the bull market. And then every time you're going to see all, anyway. Thanks, Gene. That is signal for me that you're focused in onto that. That is super interesting. That's super important to me. I love it. I like it. And here we are now, Bitcoin back at $57,000. But Jordan, India banned crypto. The markets are not crashing. The markets are not crashing. Complacency. I don't know what it is, but I know that you all know. And then just let me highlight this one fact for you. The most important piece of my work is right here, the Bitcoin 4-year cycle. Right? I understand the halving event is everything, which causes the supply shock in Bitcoin, which sets off the speculation and the bull market phase, which ends in a parabolic move and blow off top, and then sets off the bear market, finally ending in capitulation about 15 months to the next halving. It's like clockwork. And if we don't have 85% drawdown this cycle over here, either way, I will know where the low will be. I know where the low is ahead of time. We're about to call over here where we believe that low is going to be. We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks, right? As we close out the month, we'll talk about where we believe that the bear market low has a good opportunity of being and why. All over it. How will the FOMC affect Bitcoin? I have no idea. In my opinion, the FOMC will probably be a non-event for the markets. It will probably be a non-event for the markets. It is Jerome Powell's biggest test to date, though. He could drop the ball. I don't know how much faith I have in Jerome. He could, and people are losing faith in Jerome. People are losing faith in the central banking fractional reserve system. If he messes up, we could see some volatility. How will it affect Bitcoin? Whatever happens, Bitcoin is going to bounce back. Bitcoin is going to continue to do its own thing. Bitcoin is going to break all correlations over here. If you got shucking out of your position over here as price just went into price discovery or for double pullback, you're doing it wrong. So what else are we looking at today, my family? What else? It's not only Jimmy. This is a great comment. Jimmy saying, look, I have a feeling over half of my family and friends will not sell the peak. I'm starting to, this is what we do. A large part of what happens on this channel, although, I mean, it's fair to say the technical game here is sets the bar across all markets. Just go back and watch how we did this drawdown over here on Bitcoin. This drawdown over here as it occurred, and what we said as the steepness was coming in, I said, oh, we could come back just as quick then. That's a steep pullback over here. Wait for the break of this trend line. Once we got the break of the trend line, I came over as we came right there. Before I drew this line in, I said to you, all right, one bar off it. That's the line I'm drawing in. We now need to break above there to have that run towards the price discovery and all-time high. It's played out. I went to the 2-hour to you, not this past Friday, the Friday before, as we were coming off there, and I showed you what was happening over there. So anyone that was following my signal on Twitter was able to go ahead and position into the run, into the trend. It's all beautiful. It's all very beautiful. That's all I could say. Listen, what I do all the time is prepare us psychologically for what's happening. It is, and Raul nailed it as can be, it's a psychological cycle. That's exactly what we're looking at over here. If you understand this, there are people, it's dangerous when you have someone like Michael out there, and a lot of people, a lot of my friends are like, Michael said that the models are broken, Godzilla's coming, and the models are irrelevant, right? Michael, a little too bullish for his breaches. Saylor, the Chad of all Chads, needs to be corrected. No problem. That's fine. And it's not a matter of having to be right. It's just being on the right side. I hope Michael is able to see that. Do I expect Michael to go ahead and sell, out of his position? Where's my, I deleted it, of my holdings over there, of my corporate holdings? No, of course not. Michael's time preference is a lot different than yours. I'm here to help all of us stay on the right side of this trade. Getting into this trade early, right? It wasn't like Bitcoin started breaking above $20,000 and I'm like, oh yeah, Bitcoin. No, I told you what was going to happen well in advance before it unfolded and before it happened. By the way, where's my work over here? It was a long time ago. It was over a year ago. I put out the video and I said, right, Bitcoin having price prediction, right? Or when I talked about $160,000 being the top of the upcoming bull market, it was then in early December when I said that's completely wrong. That's completely wrong. It was a good price prediction so far in advance, but everything changed after March when the Fed intervened. We're looking at an uber easy monetary cycle policy over here in this cycle, and that's causing Bitcoin to outperform over here. We're looking at increasing returns, greatly increasing returns over the second cycle, right? Is that going to change before we exit over here in the coming fall? I don't think so. I can't imagine the Fed doing anything right now to alter their policy. We're seeing massive amount. The government's picking it up. The government is picking it up, and they're talking about many more trillions. The numbers are getting ridiculous. There we are. There we are, everyone. Thanks for spending the time here this morning. We're about an hour in. We covered a lot. Thank you, Alan. When Alan and Gene are fired up about what was shared, that's important for me. You are all important to me. We had a little bit, or I saw a little bit of, let's say, core quality comments being made, which is not reflective of this community at all. It's not reflective of this. Maybe there were people just joining us. Maybe they don't understand. Maybe they're used to other areas on the internet. We bring our A game over here. We're always looking to improve. We are all about lifting each other up, upping our game, and making sure we could stay focused to take advantage of this current situation. Because right now, the world is changing. The world is changing forever. And if we're not on the right side of history, our kids and our grandkids are going to ask us why. Where were you? Where were you while they were destroying our future? We're here each and every day, Monday through Friday at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, making sure that we are laser focused. We have to, on a day like today, when someone like Michael is like, the 4-year cycle is irrelevant, we have to address that. That's what the whole thesis is surrounded by, right? We're going to see really soon, we're talking several months, who was right or who was wrong, but people have a short memory, right? As Michael just decides to, what happens, by the way, to a lot of people is people want to exit at the top and then price comes off really hard and really quick. And then they're forced to become hodlers. It's not because they want to. People are stuck riding out the bear market because they didn't know any better. So, everyone, we didn't make it to 1,000 likes. In my opinion, one of the most important sessions we've had, but that happens a lot. That's right, Pure Vita. No question about that. Conquering the markets all day long. I'm all over it. And when I say I'm all over it, I'm all over what Alan, Gene, and all of you are saying, right? Thank you, Joseph. By the way, it's so important to me. I consider you all family. It is so important to me. And I will. Just understand and know this. I doubt there are many people that will call Michael the Great Saylor out. I don't care. I will. If you're leading other people astray, I will be the first to jump in there and tell you what's up. No question about that. That's coming off. Everyone understands the appreciation I have for the guy, right? No question about it. But when you got to be put in check, you got to be put in check. And that's that. At the same time, when you get it right, when you get it so right that you understand it's all about the psychological behavior of, I'm going to tell you, Raul's got it right. Raul understands markets. All right? You got that? Look, I'm hard on the guy when he's leading people astray, right? Whether it's pumping XRP. Oh, I didn't do the research. I haven't had. Are you kidding? Or, bullish the dollar when you shouldn't be bullish for whatever reason, right? But when he gets it right, you got to pay attention. I want to finish. I don't think we finished this clip. I want to see. Oh, yeah, we have another 5 seconds. I want to see how he finishes it. Yes. That's me. That's me saying he got it right. And he does get it right. He crushes it. And I'm happy for that. And I celebrate that. There you go, Peter. Thanks to each and every one of you. Peter, thank you so much. Thank you, Peter. So what else? That's important to me, Zachary. That's what's important to me over there. And thank you all for helping me. Be inspiring me each and every day to work hard to be a better person. It takes effort. It takes a massive amount of effort to have a growth mindset. It's really easy to be complacent. This is who I am, and that's just the way it is. Okay, loser. You want to be better in life? What do you got to do? You got to work hard. And you're going to fail often. Big deal. Get back up. Try again. That's how it goes. So, yeah, he's going to change his mind eventually when he's wrong. And he's a genius. Michael is an absolute genius, raising money because he can at next to nothing and buying Bitcoin, right? Boom. I highly respect the guy, but when you're wrong, you're wrong. He was wrong before. I called it out when it happened gently. I was like, listen, the fact that we didn't pull back 85% over here, which we did not expect during the bull market phase or anything close to that, does not mean that all of a sudden we're not going to have a bear market. That was a big deal. He was very wrong. Here again, he's very wrong. I'm telling you before it happens. I'm doing my best to prepare myself, to prepare you. Market's doing nothing right now. Equity markets continue to be unchanged over here as the markets have been open now for 30 minutes. Nothing to see. Markets focused in on Jerome. Markets focused in on what's going to happen on Wednesday on the FOMC. How it affects Bitcoin is not, I think it's going to be a non-event, by the way. But how it affects Bitcoin, if Jerome doesn't address the SALR, we could have major problems. If you didn't see the video, the work that we did on Thursday or Friday of not last week, the week before, when we got heavy into the macro, because it was the most important thing going on, taking something really complicated and explaining it really simply, go back and watch those videos. Very important stuff for what's happening this week. As it happens, we talk about it. And as you invest more and more of your time, you understand more and more. If you're just jumping in today and this is your first session with us, welcome. I am so glad that you are here. It is good that you are here, but take the posture of openness and desire to learn. You have to listen. If you're commenting, there are many of you who add enormous value each and every session with your comments in the live stream. And then there are people who are just so far up. If you're one of those people where you're just talking to be heard and not add to the conversation, stop it. Start listening. It's going to help you make giant strides forward in progress. And then you're going to be up to speed before you know it. And you're going to be adding value to all of us. And that's what we want. We want the iron sharpening iron. We want to continue to improve, right? Thank you, Chad. Chad is the Chad of all Chads, Chad Baylor. Thank you. Much love to you back, brother. Thank you also for making me. There you go. Now we're all feeling it. Now we're all feeling it. Look at this. Beautiful. And I think that's it, Jason. Until Alan says it, Jason. Unless Alan says now, is that 4 in a row, 5 in a row? I'm not sure. 6 in a row. I don't know what it is, but we're bringing the fire. That's what we're doing here. laser focused. Eyes is not about 100K. Laser eyes is being completely on point for the duration of the bull market. You know I'm getting out at the top. I know you all know that. I'm getting at the top because I understand markets. I understand market behavior. I know what I'm looking for. I already told you when that parabolic move is going to start, and Bitcoin's not yet going parabolic. How scary is that? As we're looking at this cycle under these uber easy monetary conditions, as Bitcoin goes parabolic, I will then be looking for that vertical move into that blow off top to exit. By the way, if you miss the exit with me, you'll have time. Price is going to come off massively and quickly, right? And by the way, here it is again, just so you understand. Price is going to come off massively and quickly, and then you're going to have that hope bump. You'll have the opportunity to exit. If you don't believe me, wait for this, and then you'll have that opportunity to exit before it's time to get out, because then everyone is going to become a hodler, whether they want to or not. And that's just the way it is. And then they're going to be like, maybe this is where it stops until we capitulate. It's going to be 15 months into the next halving in that area. We're going to be accumulating, and we're going to be looking to go ahead. And this is the difference between selling the top, positioning correctly, and then positioning back into Bitcoin, and whether or not it's an 80-85% drop or not. Even if it was a 50% drop, I know where and it's not going to be. I know where the low is going to be, and I'll be able to accumulate back in. And that is the difference between creating generational wealth and being able to just buy your Lambo. That's what we do. This is how we do it. Thank you, everyone, for this beautiful session. Thank you so much. Listen, Daily Dose of Bitcoin, just start watching each and every day. We're very clear on it all the time as it unfolds. I talk about what the market's showing me as the market's showing me right now. Everyone, have a beautiful, beautiful day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I don't know when the training session will be this week. I already have it planned out, mapped out, been working all weekend on it. And since last Friday, it's going to be covering, boom, right? Strategies used to pay off your crypto loan at the right time. Obviously not financial advice to maximize the loan, but to avoid any liquidation coming from someone not who has done 50%, right? Doubled their holdings. Not Michael. I don't know what Michael's doing. Where is he? I lost him. Over here. Peter McCormick, but 18x in the same amount of time frame. If you also want to see a financial engineer at play, make sure you watch that video. Everyone, have a beautiful day. Let's go out with some music over here and keep it frothy. Wow. A huge heartfelt thank you to all the moderators who helped this channel, who helped this community enormously. Thank you so much for everything that you do each and every day. Thank you for your generous hearts. Thank you for making this experience so much better for us all. I am grateful for you. Grateful for you. Thank you for letting me understand and know that you appreciated this session as much as I did. It was super important. It needed to be talked about. It's something that people could refer to. We're ahead of the game, right? As we get towards the top over here, as everyone is FOMOing and everyone is talking about $1 million Bitcoin, and this time is different. It's in a super cycle. You could have this clarity, this calmness to go back to and make sure that you stay psychologically ahead of the game, because it is all a psychological behavior cycle. That's what Bitcoin is. This is the 4-year cycle you're looking at, the halving, followed by the bull market, to the parabolic move, to the blow off top, and then starts the bear market, ending in capitulation, and then accumulation, 15 months to the next halving, for the next halving to do it all over again. It's the same exact thing you're looking at over here, the halving. The bull market ignites the bull market, goes to the parabolic move, which ends in a vertical blow off top, which starts the bear market, ending in capitulation, 15 months to the next halving. You guys got the matrix. You guys got the cheat sheet right here in front of you. You understand it. Now it's all about execution. And that's why we're here together each and every day, to make sure that we stay on top of it. Life-changing things are occurring here. And if you're here listening right now and you're not subscribed, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Have a beautiful day, everyone, and I'll talk to you soon.